a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Being Black in America means trying to find your identity. So being a black in America has to do with trying to find your culture, trying to create a culture in America. It's loving a country that doesn't always love you. It's trying to fit in or coexist despite obstacles, continuous obstacles. We're constantly trying to put our best foot forward at all times just to make sure that people respect and understand us, that we're not judged. Being Black in America is being fearful that your sons are considered criminals or thugs, your daughters are sexualized, or looked at as ratchet and, ghetto, instead of saying, this person might be intelligent. This person may have something to bring to the table.
Today, being Black in America is something of living in fear. I do not know when I leave my home if I would return in the same manner in which I left. I fit the suspicion probably.
And what it means to be Black in America is, it feels like having to cross your T's and dot your I's. That's what it feels like as an African-American person in America today. I say that because every day is a struggle. Every day is not easy. Every day you feel like, especially as an African-American woman, that you have to prove yourself to someone.
It is exhausting to be Black in America. It is exhausting because we were closed in and shut in by the pandemic, and we were all forced to take timeouts in areas that we normally wouldn't. And along with those timeouts came us putting our attention on things that we normally would distract ourselves from. So sitting at home and watching the deaths of Ahmaud Arbery, watching the deaths of, hearing about the deaths of Breonna Taylor, watching the death of George Floyd, 8 minutes and 46 seconds of a man being choked out, simply because the law decided that it was by the books to do what they did, and it's justified. All those things add up on top of the many instances that have happened before, on top of the many instances that happen to us in our personal lives, in our loved ones' lives, in our friends' lives. That can be exhausting.
What is African American? So being Black and being African American is like being African without the actual culture or heritage, and being American without the privilege.
It's always being in competition for a position. It's being apprehensive of everything, always. Just going to your workplace and feeling like, I need to be on pins and needles. I'm scared of calling out sick because guess what? Someone may think that I'm not being honest, even when you really are sick.
Sanasha, Sanasha, 3 syllables. It's spelled phonetically how it sounds, but people would insert T's and R's and all other letters and sounds that aren't there, but it's Sanasha. And I offer the name Sun as a nickname because that was gonna just be my name, Sun, until my mom added the Asha. But I definitely know, for me, it's really important to honor everyone's name and at least try to do that. And we all have nicknames, or some of us have nicknames, not all of us.
My name is Shaniqua, and although I love my name has a negative connotation attached to it. It really didn't. It really didn't mean anything to me until I really got older and really got into the workplace, to the point where I stopped putting my name on my resumes. I would just put S, and I would use my middle name, and because I felt like my name just had a negative connotation to it, to where I felt like as soon as someone met me, I had to prove myself and let them know that I am an educated individual, because they've already had this preconceived notion of what I am just by my name.
Going back to my childhood and knowing that one of my favorite teachers, Mr. Yankowski, was a gym teacher at Betsy Ross, all of the students knew how to say Yankowski, Arnold Schwarzenegger. There are other names that, for whatever reasons, they can have more than 3 or 4 syllables and can be very ethnic, whether it's Polish, Irish, Slavic, Jewish, and we can take the time to say those names, but don't show the same patience or care or sensitivity or respect for names that may sound very Afrocentric, which is disheartening.
We have a thing that we use within our culture. We call it code switching. We typically have to switch up. I have an accent. I'm from Jersey, so I have a little bit of a city accent. I'm from the environment that I'm from. We use slang. We have a different type of swagger to our voice. So typically, when you have to go to these different work environments, in particular corporate, you always have to switch up your voice, and you have to sound what so stereotypically sounds like a white man for you to be accepted by other people within the office. First and foremost, to get accepted while you're in an interview, then to be accepted by everyone in the office, and then the customers that you're speaking to. You have to put in a certain voice, because if I speak this way, most people, I've gotten pushback from a lot of people to the point where it even made me uncomfortable, and I tried to fit in, and it just felt uncomfortable to me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to try to fit in with any of your stereotypes, with anything that you want to, with any sort of idea of what you think a black man should be. I'm just going to be me. Black doesn't necessarily mean sounding like I sound, having a Jersey accent, a New York accent, an accent from down south. Being black is just who you are.
And there are so many different examples of microaggression, but I'm going to give the example of invisibility. When you have people, and I'll be candid, if you have white people come into a space, whether it's the break room, the hallway, and maybe even your quad or cubicle, and they begin to speak to someone next to you or around you as if you're not there, that is an example of invisibility. I'm at the microwave, and a coworker can come in and stand right next to me and not speak. And we don't have to have a conversation, but there's something, and my mother's from Charleston, South Carolina, so you don't go into rooms without speaking. You say hello, you say good morning, you say hi, and if you're nonverbal, you smile. You nod. You do something to acknowledge the presence of the person who is already in that space before you arrive. When you choose not to, you're acting as if the individual doesn't exist and that they're not there. And as subtle as that is, it is a form of microaggression. When you have to endure stuff like that on a daily basis, it is taxing. We all have biases. And so if I'm not aware of how I'm perpetuating invisibility, I would hope at some point after, having a conversation that you would do some self-reflection and ask yourself, am I someone who have caused harm in this way? Because it is harmful.
So the death of Breonna Taylor significantly has an impact on me. Even though I was not with her, I was not in the room, I'm not related to her any way, shape, or form. Her and I share the same skin color. We are both Black. It's having a serious effect on my mental health. Sometimes I can't sleep at night because I'm thinking about the whole incident and how there's no justice for her.
You know, our experiences are so different as we're seen in spaces, as we enter into spaces, if barriers are even broken down to allow us into spaces. And so I knew I had something to say. It took me some time as I had to reflect on, could it be me? 4 years ago with some graduate students, we wrote on the rock, am I next? And as you look at these situations, and we heard more about Elijah McClain, Breonna Taylor. Taylor is actually my mother's maiden name. So you think, what distinguishes what they've experienced from me? And what can I do about it? And so I turned that despair and sadness into action and brought a framework for dialogue, a community conversation on race, really examining racism as America's Achilles heel, that thing that we use that muscle every day to walk, but we don't really realize that it's there until we injure it. And then we zero in on it and we begin to do the work to repair and to rehab. And that's what we've got to do right now. So racism is impactful literally in every space. Not only do I wake up every day fully knowing that I'm a Black woman, I've experienced workplaces where when I walked in, from the moment I arrived, I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that I was a Black woman. To now leveraging my work from a consulting perspective, where I pretty much talk about race every day. At the end of the week, I'm exhausted. I'm drained because at the same time, I'm keeping up with the external, what's happening in the news, how my children are perceiving this, the notion of sending my 17-year-old off to college in another state next year. So all those things that other parents and other individuals are dealing with, compound racism on top of that. Compound having to constantly battle people you know and care about, those you don't, to help them understand that you matter, that you have value, and that there are spaces and places historically that you and people who look like you have been kept out of simply because of fear.
In my particular school, the more diversity you have, the better students are generally treated from an equity standpoint, all right? Because you have those voices in the room to speak up on behalf of students who look like them, all right? You have kids now being taught by individuals who look like them, so at least they have the opportunity to, all right? So at any point in the day, you will be taught by someone of color at some point, all right? So we're not just talking about the normal schools where, the only people of color are the janitors, maybe the receptionists and the cafeteria workers. We're talking about full instruction teachers, related arts teachers, social workers. So for example, in my school, all of the social workers are Black. We have 3, which is unheard of pretty much in any school, okay? You have a male social worker, which again is unheard of in many, many schools. So that diversity helps the cause. As diversity begins to water down and schools become more homogeneous, we can't report as favorable results. However, the biggest issue I have with how students are treated based on district, which inevitably also means based on their color, is that they're not provided with special education services the way they should be. All right, they're not provided with equitable diagnoses for certain types of illnesses or disabilities they might have. So, for example, we know by statistics that Black and brown boys are overdiagnosed with ADHD. Right, when these boys don't have ADHD. Right, they have a number of other issues, or even that they might not have any issues at all. It might just be a simple thing of you can't relate to them or understand their behavior in such a way that is competent based on their culture. All right, you think they're being disruptive, you think they're being rude. I just think they're responding to the way that they interact with people at home.
I have family members in law enforcement, both here and in Massachusetts. My husband's grandfather was the first African American policeman in Waterbury. My husband's uncle was the first African American detective in Waterbury. And they've also served in government, in local city government. My sons, on a foundational level, they know that not all police are bad. My husband and I both have had the talk with them. We've told them what to do. We've told them, just make sure you cooperate. Don't give them any reason don't give any reason for the situation to escalate any more than it should.
At a young age, I had to teach my son that if you're ever stopped by the police, put your hands on the dashboard or hang them out the window, because you want them to know that you are not a threat. It's watching your tone when you speak in response to being pulled over or at an employment opportunity, making sure that you take note of everything. You always push harder than the next person because you're going to be expected not to.
My son is 10 years old, and I never thought that I would have to have that talk with him at such an early age, because he's still he's very impressionable, and not that he doesn't see color. He knows that you're Black, you're white, but again, he goes to a diverse school. He just knows that these are my friends. He doesn't know the differences or what African Americans experience versus what whites experience, Hispanics. Not to mention, we come from a diverse family. My dad is married to a Puerto Rican woman. My stepmother's Puerto Rican. My brothers are Puerto Rican. So my family comes in different shades. So for us, at this age of 10 years old, especially with the recent events, we really did have to have a little talk with my son. Not too much in depth to confuse him or make him scared, but just to let him know that these things are out. And I really fear for my son, because at 10, he's a very outspoken boy where if he knows something is wrong, he's gonna ask a question. So I envision him 17 years old, 18 years old, driving in a car. He may get pulled over. In his eyes, if he knows he didn't do something wrong, he's gonna turn around and look at that officer. Is he gonna say, "Officer, I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you pulling me over?" And it's sad that I have to tell my son that he cannot speak his mind because of his skin color. Saddens me because he's 10, and I don't want him to be tainted to where now he's looking at everybody different. He's supposed to look at officers that they are supposed to be there to protect and serve. He's not supposed to look at them like, well, because I'm African American, if I do anything wrong, they may hit me, or they may do this, or they may drag me out of the car. He shouldn't have to do that. I do want him to look at them as they are there to protect and serve, but he also has to be aware on how he has to conduct himself as an African American young man in society.
When the cop pulls you over, you don't question the cop. If he asks you for your license and registration, the talk I was given actually on my birthday at 38, pull out your license and registration. Well, no, because I'm being taught to understand by lawyers that I have a right to question why am I being pulled over. Just because I question why am I being pulled over and you don't like the question does not mean you can pull me out of a car and inflict some sort of harm on me. And just because I give you my license and registration does not mean I still won't get pulled out of the car and get some sort of harm inflicted on me. So that's the talk that we are having, and that's the talk that we need to stop having. We need to have a talk that lets people know to use your voice, to ask questions. We need to have the talk that allows people to have an understanding of their rights, of the law. What you do in certain situations, should you feel that you've been pulled over unfairly, talked to unjustly, or treated unjustly.
Enough is enough. This is out of control. Stand up, black man, stand up. We watch video of knee on throat and life slowly slipping away because you fit the description of a forgery suspect, judge, juror, and executioner, George Floyd. We can't go jogging, Ahmaud Arbery. We can't relax in the comfort of our own homes, Mr. Jean and Tatiana Jefferson. We can't ask for help after being in a car crash. We can't ask for help after being in a car crash, Jonathan Farrell and Renisha McBride. We can't have a cell phone, Stephon Clark. We can't leave a party to get to safety, Jordan Edwards. We can't play loud music, Jordan Davis. We can't sell CDs, Alton Sterling. We can't sleep, Ayanna Jones. We can't play cops and robbers, Tamir Rice. We can't go to church, Charleston 9. We can't walk with Skittles, Trayvon Martin. We can't hold a hairbrush while leaving our own bachelor party, Sean Bell. We can't party on New Year's, Oscar Grant. We can't get a normal ticket, Sandra Bland. We can't lawfully carry a weapon, Philandro Castile. We can't break down on a public road with car problems, Corey Jones. We can't shop at Walmart, John Crawford. We can't have a disabled vehicle, Terrence Crutcher. We can't read a book in our own car, Keith Scott. We can't be a 10-year-old walking with our grandfather, Clifford Glover. We can't decorate for a party, Claudette Reese. We can't ask a cop a simple question, Randy Evans. We can't cash our check in peace, Yvonne Smallwood. We can't even take our wallet out, Armando Dalio. We can't run, Walter Scott. We can't breathe. We cannot breathe. We can't breathe, Eric Gardner. We can't live, Freddie Gray. We are tired of being tired, tired of trying to convince you that our lives matter. Black lives matter.
I would say that I'm human just like you, even though I don't look like you. My hair doesn't look like yours. My figure doesn't look like yours. I'm human too. We bleed the same. God made us the same, just different shades.
Just because you may not be familiar or have experienced something doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Right now in 2020, we are living history. We are living a movement. The civil rights movements of the 50s and 60s lasted for 14 years. Fighting, protesting to end lynchings, to end voter suppression, to be able to vote, to desegregate schools, to end Jim Crow so that housing and restaurants and everything else could be integrated. That was 52 years ago. I'm 2 generations removed from not being able to vote and 2 generations removed from a Jim Crow era, which explains why in 2020 we are crying, we are screaming, we are pleading to recognize that our lives matter.
If I was speaking to someone that doesn't look like me, I would tell them, take the time to get to know me.
I think when you take the time to get to know me, you get to learn a lot about yourself.
just have a conversation with me after. Let's have the same conversation we would have prior to after you lived a day in my shoes. And I would like to know if that person would be able to survive, because every single day we are faced with, whether it's small, it could be something so minute to something big, but we are faced with something, some kind of biases, some kind of prejudices every single day, but yet and still, we still stand tall, we still survive, and we still are proud to be African American.
I'm a man, and by that meaning, I am mankind. I am a human just like you. I am a black man, and that's okay. If you are not a black man, if you are not black, that is all right. We are put here to be different, and the world would not be what it is if we were not different. If you look at my background behind me, what would this backdrop look like if everything was the same? However, the beauty is made in the fact that every flower has its own color. Every petal has its own shape. Even the sky, as we look in the clouds, the beauty in it is that every cloud is shaped differently. That's what makes this world beautiful. Fear is what produces hate. At the core of it, when you boil down hate, that's all there is fear. I will look at someone who looks different than me and say, hey, you're a human being. I appreciate you. I love you because God loves you. He created us to coexist in this world, and there's enough of it to go around for everyone. Your pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness doesn't threaten my pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness, especially based on the way that we look.
When I reflect on when my oldest daughter started kindergarten, that I literally in August put on a navy blue pinstripe suit because I needed the teacher to know that I was a professional and I didn't want her to treat my black daughter any other way. The notion of me even having to think about doing that, not being able to roll up to the elementary school in sweats for fear of what people will assume about me.
My hope would be that once they reconcile and recognize all of the thoroughly documented events of suppressing and oppressing Blacks in this country, that you would then feel compelled as a human being, as an individual, to take part in how you can better the lives of everyone. And if you're not ready to do that, then I would say just please move to the side because I got work to do. It hasn't stopped. We love to think about MLK and the I Have a Dream speech, and we don't recognize everything else that he and the other activists were fighting for.
We have to allow everyone to express their opinion. We can't shut someone down just because their opinion is different from yours. They have a voice just as much as you have a voice, but all voices have to be heard. And then we have to find a way to come together.
We have to be intentional on giving them the support, giving their parents the support they need at all times, whether it be jobs, job training, whether it be therapy. And as we know, us as Black folks, therapy is always non-existent because we try to ignore mental illness. And we try to be like, mind your business, don't tell strangers my business, things like that. But it's time to start revealing ourselves and start unpeeling our trauma, because our kids and our youth go through trauma every day. We go through trauma every single day. And we need more people like us, that look like us, that come from where we come from, handling our issues. Because if you don't come from where we come from, you can't understand a thing. And I say the same thing about educators, same thing about police. We need to start more community. Community is not just, we work here and then go to our land and our home somewhere else. Community is we work here, we live here, we play here, we build here.
When I think about what I would say to someone who expresses that they want to step up, that they want to be an ally, that maybe this is not their story, but they want to know how to help, I think that most importantly, I think folks need to listen. Really listen to the stories and lived experiences of people of color, of Black people that you know. There's so much I think that we take for granted in our privilege that, even as a Black woman, There are moments that as a faculty member or as a corporate executive, I acknowledge that I had privilege, right? To think about and see things that others didn't have ability to do so. And so what I would ask is for folks to acknowledge that. I need you to stop and think about why you think about me the way you do. What led you to believe that? Who told you that that was the case? And really dismantle and unpack that. And think about the experiences that you've had and be careful to share them with those you know. Interrupt racism when you hear it. Don't allow it to continue. When you hear someone say something racist, stop them in their tracks. Even if you don't know that person that they are referring to, help them to understand, you know what? I don't believe that to be the case. That might be your experience with that person, but universally, I don't know that to be the case about Black people.
Where do we go from here? I feel like as a society, we definitely have to take a breather and take a step back. We have to get comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. Those difficult conversations that no one wants to talk about or wants to think about, now is the time that we have to bring it up.
This is the importance of being registered to vote that a lot of people don't even realize. You know, I myself didn't realize the importance, even though I used to utilize it and just do it, but it's very important to be registered to vote. If you have that power, if you have that skill, register to vote and utilize your vote. A lot of times it really, really does matter, because one thing that people don't think about is jury duty. I myself was guilty of, avoiding jury duty a lot of times, but it hit me when I watched a movie called Selma on how this really affects us as a people. We went through so much to be able to have the right to vote, and then we take it for granted. A lot of times we always think presidential level, local politics matters. People that you could touch, talk to, our state reps, our NRZs, board of education. People have problems with board of education. Those are voter positions in there. And you're not gonna get jury duty if you're not registered to vote, which is another game that they play with us. So to come to court and see a jury that does not look like you, doesn't know your situation, doesn't know nothing about you, that's a shame.
The rich history, the deep culture, when it comes to mind, I think of music, I think of resilience, I think of power, I think of ability to transcend anything because of so many challenges and barriers overcome. I think of our ancestors, I think of our elders, I think of the rich history, the legacy, so much to live up to, so much to smile about. I think of family, I think of food, I think of all of the wonderful things that make us Black.
The love that we have for each other and for society. We are a loving and forgiving people. I love that I can look in all areas in this world and see our influence. I love the music, jazz that we created, hip hop, rap we've created, and share with the world. It's like, name it, we're there. We've influenced and we've contributed somehow, some way, and I'm proud of that.
Our music is amazing. Our food is amazing. Our leaders are amazing. There are people that came before me that tried their very best to give me the opportunity to have rights that we still fight for to this day. But knowing that I can go to other people who enjoy similar things to me, who have the same passions that I have, who want to be free and remain free just like me, brings a great deal of pride.
My name is George, and my voice matters.
My name is Cheyenne, and my voice matters.
My name is Sanasha, and my voice matters.
My name is Shaniqua, and my voice matters.
My name is Sharon, and my voice matters.
My name is Brandon McGee, and my voice matters.
My name is Pam, and my voice matters.
Timothy Freelon I, and my voice matters.
My name is Joelle, and my voice matters.
My name is Shantae,
My name is Leviticus.
and our voices matter.
We